Hello, everybody, and thanks for stopping in. This is really sad here. Disney sued by labor union for failing to pay living wages to its employees. The employees have to live in their cars, y'all. This is really sad right here. So this just came out. I already heard from, various people and some people who knew or know of people who work at Disneyland say that they work those people to the bone and they live in poverty. It is really sad. And so there's an old Walt Disney quote, a favorite of workplace morale posters and business self-help books that goes, you can design and create and build the most wonderful place in the world, but it takes people to make the dream a reality. So these days, there are a lot of people making the Disney dream a reality. A study of the Disneyland resorts last year found that 27.2 million people visited California theme park in 2016 alone. So thanks to the 30,000 workers who keep the place up and running. But a new class action lawsuit that has been filed Friday in California Superior Court and announced in a press advisory Monday argues that the Walt Disney Company, worth approximately $130 billion as of this year, failed to pay hundreds of their workers, and those workers a living wage. So the complaint was filed by 5 Disney employees on behalf of more than 400 hospitality workers, accusing the Walt Disney Company and several of its affiliates, Walt Disney Parks and Resorts US Inc., Sodexo Inc., and Sodexo Magic LLC, and 100 unnamed does of unlawful conduct and unfair business practices. So the plaintiffs are asking for back wages, restitution, and damages, which their attorney, Randy Rennick, said may be significant with the back pay. Rennick said, we're talking millions of dollars. A lot of workers have to live in their cars or on people's couches because they can't afford to rent on the wages that they live on in the city of Anaheim, said Kathleen Grace, a plaintiff in the case and a Starbucks barista employed by Sodexo, which Disney contracts to operate its backstage food and beverage services. It's really sad to see a lot of times that they're choosing to feed their families or put gas in their car to come to work. So that's really sad, y'all. So I have heard from people who know people close that work at Disneyland said they work them to the bone. They're very dedicated, but they don't get back what they've worked for. They don't, and what they justly so should earn. And so a lot of those people are living as if they're almost homeless. So the case concerns an initiative called Measure L, which Anaheim voters passed in November of 2018. So the ballot measure requires resort employees that receive tax rebates from the city to pay their employees a $15 living wage. So the new wage was supposed to go in effect January 1st of 2019. So they increased by $1 each year until January the 1st, 2020. 2022 by 2023, the code states. So the wage increases would change to reflect rising costs of living. The ballot measure was backed by the Coalition of Resort Labor Unions, a group of 11 local unions representing 17,000 workers, or more than half of the Disney employees, in a press advisory Monday. So what is called the CRLU came out in support of the workers' class action case. And so the complaint argues that Disney and its contractors took massive subsidies from the city of Anaheim but did not alter their wage or overtime pay, or overtime pay, that is, to reflect the new law. And so Grace, who came out of retirement in August of 2016 to work for Sodex, said that she makes $14.25 an hour. So many of her co-workers, including food servers, banquet servers, bellhops, doormen at the Disney hotels, earn as little as $12 an hour. And so other plaintiffs in the case include Thomas Bray, a bell person at Disneyland Hotel who earns $12.25 an hour, Regina Delgado, a cashier at the Plaza Inn restaurant inside Disneyland theme park who has made $12 an hour until October, Alicia Grijalva, excuse me if I mispronounced that name. She's a makeup stylist at the park who earned $12 an hour until July, and Javier Terrazas, a banquet event server who makes $12 an hour. So you see how low their wages are, y'all? So that's really sad. It's like old school wages from back in the day. People don't even live off of this, can hardly pay their bills off of this kind of income, which is really not income. It's like not even, it's like change, like allowance money you give kids. Sad. So we shouldn't have to struggle living paycheck to paycheck, Grace said. So we are trying to pay our rent, feed our families, and get gas to drive here and there. And I want to stop for a second. This seems to be happening everywhere, not just Disneyland. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. It's happening even with teachers, believe it or not. There are some teachers that are making almost as low as that amount of money, and they've been working for years. Some substitutes will make as low as that. And, you know, think of what they're having to change diapers. Some of the lower waged teachers are having to change diapers, having to, write reports, having to fill out paperwork, and some of there are other professions where they are also struggling paycheck to paycheck, and that's the reason why a lot of people are not having it. And I have heard that the Disney workers, going back to that, are really being worked to the bone and getting really low wages. And we just heard like $12.25 an hour, maybe lower than that. And so it's sad. And so when Measure L was first drafted, Disneyland Resorts fell squarely among the employers it would affect. So at the time, Disney had two deals with the city of Anaheim, which would have qualified them for a living wage law, $267 million tax rebate to build an Audition luxury hotel, and a 30-year entertainment tax break in exchange for investing $1 billion into their existing resorts just 1 month before the measure passed, however. So Disney terminated both agreements, leaving their status under Measure L uncertain. So at the time, the Los Angeles Times noted that the last-minute pullout effectively ensured the ballot dollar corporation would not have to pay workers a living wage. Wow, that's really messed up. But those weren't the only deals Disney has made involving public money. And so, Los Angeles Times investigation of 2017 found that the company had secured rebates, other incentives from the city worth more than $1 billion. Disney disputed the estimate, and so in a lawsuit, the workers specifically point to a subsidy from 1996 when Disney received over $500 million in tax rebates from Anaheim to help build California Adventure Park, the second Disney-owned theme park after the original Disneyland. So the bulk of the money came in the form of municipal bonds borrowed from the Anaheim Finance Authority, which were used to construct a $108 million parking facility. Since its construction, Disney has kept all the revenue from the garage, which low estimates put at around $35 million annually, but leases the garage from the city for just $1 a day, or $1 a year. Oh, it says just $1 a year. Wow. So Disney got a rebate of the best kind, and the complaint states it got its taxes back before it paid them. And so here you see all of these people. It's supposed to be the happiest place on earth. It really isn't. When you hear stories like this, it's really sad. So still, the case hinges on the definition of rebate. In a report from October 2018, the Anaheim City Attorney argued that the rebate, though not defined in Measure L or set at a fixed legal definition, meant discount. Under that definition, he wrote, so in the 1996 transaction did not qualify, rendering Disneyland exempt from paying a living wage. Disneyland spokesperson Liz Jaeger echoed the findings from paying a living wage. Disneyland's spokesperson. Okay, that's sad. Coalition is well aware that the city attorney has previously looked at the issue. So Jaeger wrote, and excuse me if I'm mispronouncing that name, Jaeger wrote that and clearly stated that Measure L does not apply to Disneyland Resort. And so the theme park also alleged that all non-tipped workers already earn a minimum of $15 an hour and can get overtime pay. Grace and Rennick disputed that claim, pointing out that two of the plaintiffs made just $12 an hour and that many workers who make less than $15 an hour did not receive tips. So we are not tipped employees, Grace said. Sodex doesn't allow tips. And so I was told that was a Disney policy, but I'm not clear, and we do not receive tips. So it's important to know that the law doesn't distinguish between tip or non-tipped employees. Rennick said, so you have to pay a minimum wage, or in its case, the living wage to all employees, whether tipped or not. California Constitution actually requires that. So there are quite a number of folks in the class action lawsuit who are not who are not tipped employees who are making less than $15 an hour. So in the 2018 survey of Disneyland Resort workers, or cast members, as they were called, found that 73% of the employees do not earn enough money to cover basic expenses every month. Conducted by the Occidental College Urban Environmental Policy Institute and underwritten by the CRLU, the report surveyed more than 5,000 Disney Resort employees. More than half reported concerns of being evicted from their homes or apartments. 2/3 said that they were food insecure, and 11% said that they had been homeless in the past 2 years. And in the later category, 13% were living with young children. Oh, wow, that's really sad. So, wow. So this really sheds a lot of light for those how bad it is being a worker at this resort. And if you're long term, somebody that's working long term, you expect not to make very much money or very little and not a living wage until they get this problem resolved. All we can hope is that they finally get this problem resolved or under control, or at least give them a livable wage. With that being said, thanks for listening. Disneyland is not the happiest place on earth.